learn almost uh almost all JavaScript mathematic operations. So we're gonna use most of the JavaScript provided math operations and how it can be implemented in JavaScript code. So we're gonna start with pi, which is very common, and we know pi is 3.141, and we're gonna experiment that in JavaScript. So let's start with pi. How to implement pi in JavaScript is very easy. So we have a pi uh, a pi function or object in JavaScript, which is already in there, and you can simply call it and then use it. So for example, if we want to solve math and we want to call an inbuilt math equation, most of them we need to call the math keyword, then we can call the method itself, which is pi, and this will print pi on the screen for us. That is 3.14 and up to the others. Okay, but what if we want to do we want to calculate let's say the circle of an area. So let's have a function to create circle of an area. So let's say calculate circle of area. Okay, so let's have a function, and then with the function, let me see, let's call it calculate let's call this function, let me start with it small, calculate circle of area. So in here, let's have our calculations here. So let's say area is equal to, first we have a math, which is pi here, and then we'll multiply it by the radius. So we can do pi times the circumference, or we can do pi times 2 radius, which is radius times another radius, which makes it a circumference. So we have this, and then we're gonna return the area. Okay, great. So we can simply utilize this function by calling it down here. So let's say we want to call the document here dot right, and then document dot right. Document dot right. Then we have body, let's have it inside the script, document.write, and then we'll have the function name, which is this one. In here, and then we need to pass in a value in which we want to calculate. So let's say we have an area of 5, and with that, let's do the calculation. Let me see. Calculate circumference area, size. Oh, okay. Let me comment this one first. Let me see what's going on here. We have let area be equal to maths.pi times radius times another radius, and we are calling the function. Oh, we need to pass in the argument here, so we need to pass in the radius here before it's gonna work. So we pass in the value to be 5, which is 7.78.539. so what if we want to print another one? We can simply duplicate this and then pass in another number, which is, let's say we want to find the area of 10, then we will have this number to print it. So let me comment this so we see the second result really clearly. So that is the area for the 10. Okay, so what if we want to get the absolute value of a number? We simply can use, so let me type in here absolute value of a number. Okay, so for absolute value of a number, we simply have to call the maths function, which is maths.absolute, which is ABS, absolute value, and then we can type in any number and it's gonna give us its absolute of that. So when we type -1, we're gonna get 1. That is the absolute value of -1. Let's say we have other values we want to try. For example, let's try 1. Absolute value of 1 will be 1. So we have 11 there, 1 here, and then 1 here. What if we want to try something like 10 minus 10.3? Okay, it's gonna give us the positive of that number. So we have 10.3 there. When I clear out this, you see it clearly that the absolute value will be the positive of the negative. So that is how we implement absolute value. What if we want to do a random generation of number? So let's generate random numbers. Okay, so to generate random numbers in JavaScript is very simple. The same document.write, then we can call a random on the math function, which is this. Then we can simply generate random numbers on the screen like this. So this is gonna be randomly generated just using the math.random, and we're gonna have all that. Okay, what if we want to create a simple, function to create a random integer, and a random integer? So let's say we have a function, and then we're gonna use, let's say, get get run integer, so random integer. Let me use in here, so get a random integer, and then in here we'll just return maths dot flow, and in there we're gonna pass in the math function that's random. Okay, so here we need to pass in some value. For example, if we want to have the max of the value, for example, we want to control the maximum number for the random generation, which is the max here. So if I want to do that, I can simply pass in the max here, and then document.write that function here. So let's say we have document.write get this, and then we need to set the max here. Let's say we want to set the max of 3, so should generate that, and the max should be 3. Okay, so let me see, document.write get run in. Okay, it's returning, it's actually returning, and now let's see why. Oh, because I did not add the double round bracket. Yeah, this omitted 2 round brackets, so it was showing now. Let's refresh it. Now we have 0 here, 1, 2, 0. So that means it cannot go surpass what? 3 here. What if we put 8 in here and then we save? Now we can have 3, 6, 1, 5, 2, 6, 4, 0, 6, 5, 1, 2, 7. Yeah, so we've had all the numbers except what? 8, because 8 is what is the max. So that is how we can generate a lot of random numbers by controlling it based on what we have for our max value. So let's say we want to calculate the square root. So we want to calculate the square root in JavaScript. So square root, and this is very simple. We can do this by just calling math.square root, and we're gonna have our value. So for example, if I call this, let me just copy this and paste it here, then I can call maths dot, so I have maths dot square root square root here. Okay, so this maths of square root, if I want to find the square root of 8, it's simply gonna print that for me real quick. So we have that one here. Okay, so let me just comment this. So this is what? The square root of what? 8 that we have, 2.4. If we want to check the square root of 4, and then the square root of 4 is what? Is 8. What if we want to calculate a hypothesis, or maybe hypothesis of a longest side of the right angle triangle? That is very easy. So we can use the same formula for right angle triangle and pass in 2 parameters here, and we can say a and b. Then we can simply find the square root return the square root this way, and then in the square root values we can have our calculations in here. So for example, we say if it is a and b we are passing, that means we'll be passing in two values to this function. So to find the hypotenuse of the longest side of the right angle, we can do the first value times itself, and then we add that to the second value times itself, which is b times b here. Okay, so now how do we call this? We can simply call it using the document.print here, and then we call the function here. Okay, so here we pass the value at which we want to calculate for the right angle. So we have a for 3 and then b for 4. Then we reload. Document.write, then we have the function gets run in, and then we have the value. Let me see, function a and b, return a mass, square root, square root is here, this one. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so we have 5 there. So what if we change the values? If we change the values for the right angle, we're still gonna have the correct answer. Okay, 13. So this is how we perform some functions inside JavaScript using the square root object. So and the square root method. So let's see if we want to run a number up in JavaScript. So for example, if we want to run a number like, let's say 4.9, if we run it up, it will be equal to 5, right? So let's see if we want to run up values in JavaScript. So run up numbers. Okay, so to run up numbers, we can simply use the document.print here, and then call the maths function called cell, and this one will do a run up for us. So let's say we have 4.9 here. Let me comment this one, 4.9 here, and we get 5. So any number we put in here will be run up. What if it's a negative? It's gonna give us a negative 4 there. What if we put 999, let's just do 9.99. Let's see the run up. Yeah, then it gives us a 10 there. So this is how we can run up numbers in JavaScript. What if we want to do a rundown instead of run up? So rundown, we can simply call the same function, but this time around it's gonna be floor here instead of the cell. Then it runs down the number, so it runs down this to 9. So we can try other values in there. What if we want to do run a number to the nearest integer? So a number to the nearest integer. So good. So to do that, we can call the function run here, run. So run this to the nearest integer. Then we have 10, because 9.99 to the nearest integer will give us that. What if we want to do 4 point, maybe 3.45. Let's check that, and it gives us 3. So this one we can simplify all these runoffs using this inbuilt JavaScript methods. Okay, so what if we want to find the largest and smaller number? I have already talked about this, but let's talk about this a little bit more here. So let's say we want to find the largest and the smallest of a number. Okay, so here we can simply do that by calling a method here called max. So math.max, then I can have a set of numbers here. Let's say 3, 2, and then 1, and let's see what is the max, which is 3. Okay, what if we want to change the number here to 9? Yes, we get a max, which is 9. And if we also have negatives in here, it's still gonna return the max. So let's check here. The max is what? -1. So we can do other numbers in there and it's gonna display correctly. Okay, so what if we want to find the maximum number inside an array? It's basically the same thing we have here, but we can pass this one to, we can pass these values inside an array. We can pass all this inside an array. So I copy this, and let's say let array variable be equal to numbers, and then we have this in there. Okay, so what we gonna have here is to apply this max to the array. We need to call max dot apply, and then we have, first we need to pass in 2 parameters, which is now and then numbers. And let's check this on the screen to find the max. The max will be -1. So if we have just positive integers, the max will be 9. Great. So this is how we can call that, find the max in an array. Good. So what if we want to find, we want to pass an array to a max and min method using the spread operator? So we can simply do that by clearing this off. Take off the apply. If we want to use a spreading operator, so spread operator. Spread operator simply means using dots in front of the numbers. So here we can use the spreading operator here, and then it should work fine. So this should print out the max for us, which is still 9. What if we change this to a 7? It's gonna print out 7. So this is the way we can use the spreading operator. And we can also apply a minimum, or what we've studied so far. If we want to check the mean of it, we simply use .min. For all that we've studied, just change the max area to min, and that is going to work perfectly on all the math equations. So what if we want to perform to the power? And to the power simply means raising a number to a certain number, or to a certain power. For example, we say finding the power of a number, and this is the power in terms of mathematics. So for example, if you want to raise the power of 3, we can simply do this. Let me comment this side. We can simply call maths dot power. Okay, power, like this. And then we have two numbers. The first number will be the real number, which is the non-powered one, and the second one will be the power. So this will be 3 raised to the power 2. Okay, so let's go, and that is 9. So 3 raised to the power 2 will be 3 times 3, which is going to give us 9. And we can do negatives as well and mix it with positives and negatives. So let's say everything here is negative, and let's see, we got 0.11. What if one is negative and positive? Yes, it's gonna give us same answer. And what if we have 5 here and then negative 2? Okay, it gives us 0.05, which is really cool. So we can perform most of the math function inside JavaScript. So it's really nice here. What if we want to try trigonometry? So for trigonometry, we can simply use the sine and the pi inside print out for us to see. So let's say we are using a document dot write, and then we want to perform a trigonometry operation inside JavaScript. Is to use sin here, and then we'll have the pi. This is just converting a mathematical formula in JavaScript. So if you don't know what is trig, you can just check the trig formula, the normal formula, and it's gonna be the same as what we have here. So we have maths dot pi here. That is 0 times pi, which is 3.14 something. And then we need to put that in a sin. That is how we calculate the trig. And we divide it by 180 here. Then we try that on the screen, and it gives us 0. Okay, since we are multiplying it by 0, it's going to give us 0. What if we want to multiply this by 90? Then 90 will give us somewhere around 1. Okay, great. Then let's multiply this by 180, and 180 will be I think it should give us something close to 1, which is 1.2. Yes, so this is the way we can use math functions inside JavaScript. So it's always good to practice along when you're watching the video. See you in the next one. Peace.